Even though Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa were a much-loved couple in Hollywood, their seemingly flawless relationship was actually unraveling behind the scenes. Divorce was more than a breakup when it came. A devastating loss rocked Lisa's entire universe. The audience witnessed Jason's progress, but Lisa's storyline took a surprising and sad turn. After filming ceased, what transpired in reality? Come explore the dark reality of Lisa Bonet's universe with us. What happened after her split from Jason Momoa, and why it's disappointing overall? What causes unease? Lisa Bonet's small universe was already fragmented when she came in San Francisco on November 16, 1967. The white Jewish teacher, Mother Arlene Littman, insisted on neat timetables and algebra homework. The late-night practices and booming areas were important to Father Alan Bonet, a Texan opera singer of African-American descent. Lisa had to move from house to house, experiencing a variety of cultural dialects, because her parents' marriage ended when she was still a baby. Everyone at Birmingham High School in Los Angeles was curious as to which locker room she actually belonged in. Her last name was mispronounced by her teachers. She would never read the booklets that the guidance counselors pressed on her. On occasion, she would look into the bathroom mirror and murmur, "I don't accept this," assuring herself that she would find a home somewhere. Isolation fostered creativity. The camera captured that fleeting look of rebellion in her eyes when her bored buddy dragged her to an acting lesson one Saturday. At the tender age of 17, she had won a nationwide audition and was on her way to New York to play The Cosby Show's Denise Huxtable. America encountered a self-assured, trend-conscious adolescent. Every morning, Lisa felt like an undercover agent sneaking her fears past the studio's security guards. Meanwhile, the bills that were due were paid with the checks. In contrast to the coldness of high school, the studio audience's laughing brought a comforting embrace. But success is a voracious guest. Everywhere Denise went, from magazine covers to chat show sofas to mall appearances, the identical smiling Denise had to be produced. Lisa was afraid she would become a sitcom daughter for life. She eagerly accepted director Alan Parker's offer to play the tough character Epiphany Proudfoot in Angel Heart. Voodoo ceremonies and a contentious romantic scene were both part of the original script. Americans, used to going to bed after watching The Cosby Show, were taken aback. Despite the film's successful battle to upgrade its rating from X to RI, the public outcry damaged her credibility. Lisa didn't hide. She wrote spoken-word poetry in notebooks. Afterwards, an alternate reality offered a new beginning. Denise Goes to College is the ideal storyline for how the character grows up. However, fate had different intentions. After the first season, her off-screen affair with rising rock star Lenny Kravitz became a pregnancy. Network executives were taken aback. They have no idea what their campus poster girl could be anticipating. Lisa left the studio, prioritizing her unborn child over studio demands and courteous smiles, as creative conflicts intensified. Nights in the Brooklyn loft she lived with Lenny were filled with guitar riffs, incense, and whispered dreams, even though the tabloids screamed recklessness outside. Freedom thickened as finances tightened. When their daughter Zoe showed there, Lisa felt a newfound sense of purpose, the need to defend innocence in a city where rumors are profitable. As the 1990s progressed, Lisa's film offers dwindled, and she sought refuge in canyon hideaways, areas with spotty cell phone service. While waiting for the next chapter to emerge, she did yoga at dawn among the sycamores, read Zoe Rumi, and read herself a bed of roses. Polynesian tattoos were the means by which fate intervened. A chuckle and the assurance that aspirations from youth can blossom into loyalty. It was Jason Momoa's turn. Worlds collide. It was in 2005, in a seedy jazz bar in Los Angeles. Centered on patchouli and trumpet brass, that Jason Momoa first laid eyes on Lisa Bonet. He told his confused mother, "I'm going to marry that woman someday," after adoring her likeness since he was 8 years old. At this point, the dream was placing an order for a pint of Guinness alongside him. Despite his unsteady 6'4" size, he cracked a joke about foam mustaches. A low, melodious sound shook the universe as Lisa laughed. Truckers gawked at the strange couple as they departed from a roadside eatery for late-night grits. The surfer with the tattoos, who resembled a carving out of lava rock, and the little icon with the celestial eyes. Later than dawn, talk continued unabated. As an individual of mixed ethnicity growing up in Hawaii, Jason opened out on how Denise Huxtable gave him a sense of belonging. His candor stunned Lisa, and she listened intently. She stared him down and refused to accept the myth that fate is solely determined by external factors. He had anticipated her shrugging, but she refused. They remained together for the next 2 months. It was said by their friends that they were polar opposites. Their group identified as complementary currents. Motorbikes were his lifeblood, cliff jumps and packed movie sets. She longed for the kitchen's sage aroma to waft into the air, for peace and quiet, and for poetry. They would spend some nights meditating beneath the moonlight and other nights rock climbing in deserts. Initially, we saw each difference as an opportunity rather than a hindrance. While hawks swooped overhead, they welcomed their daughter Lola into the world in 2007 in the comfort of their own house by candlelight. A son named Nakoa Wolf was born a year later, just as the midwife was praying aloud due to the intense thunderstorm. They became even closer as parents. Jason would bring the infants to premieres in woven slings. Lisa used an antique acoustic guitar to write lullabies, images captured by the paparazzi of their combined family. Between them, Zoe Kravitz would frequently sit, suddenly became popular online, presented as evidence that Hollywood may successfully foster genuine romantic relationships. On the other hand, tension was building behind the scenes. Following Stargate, Jason's career, which had been in limbo before, took off. Atlantis and, subsequently, Game of Thrones. Worldwide offers rang the casting agent's phones at first light. While he attempted to fly the family to each destination, Lisa's nerves were unsettled by the frequent motion. She had spent a lot of time away from the spotlight. Airports were now their path to flash bulbs. "Home isn't a suitcase," she said on an Icelandic windswept asphalt. A new call interrupted their kiss on the forehead. Superhero Aquaman has a rope that's too strong to ignore. "Family comes first," he informed producers during discussions. Months turned into seasons, despite the studio's approval. While homeschooling her children, tending to her garden, and facilitating full moon drum circles, Lisa held down the fort in Los Angeles. According to her, sometimes being absent seems more assertive than arguing. Nightly, Jason would FaceTime from rain-soaked sets, his armor shining and his eyes heavy with exhaustion. Screen lag made lullabies sound like echoes. In private, friends noted that the polite silences were lengthening. A love tale that seemed impervious to earthquakes became more fragile with each passing time zone, achieving success and its consequences. Posters for Ocean Blue started popping up on billboards from London to Los Angeles as soon as main photography on Aquaman ended in late 2017. An unexpected tsunami washed over Hollywood in the form of Jason Momoa, who has been known to crash on friends' couches. People conducting the interviews were looking for anecdotes about daring adventures. His trident was solicited by toy brands. Entertainment companies offered bundles of films. Lisa Bonet believed his successes were theirs at first and cheered for him, even going so far as to burn sage in Topanga Canyon to celebrate. However, there are impacts to success. Jason went on a global press tour to promote the picture, stopping in Beijing, Sydney, Sao Paulo, and Madrid. Weeks of jet lag waned as I walked the halls of a hotel, Despite Lisa's best efforts, every call concluded with a polite reminder, even though she tried to match his positivity. Keep in mind that even when the internet goes down, the kids keep growing. Though he didn't know it yet, the following time around would be even larger. He nodded and promised fewer travels. Once Lisa returned home, she fell into a more traditional routine. Morning tea under the oak trees, writing poems, and volunteering at a women's shelter. On weekend trips, the sound of birdsong and Zoe's laughing drowned out Fame's echo. Her friends marveled at her composure, but she was fighting an inward pain. Was a passport stamp the reason her spouse was leaving her? Upon his return for Thanksgiving, Jason detected the drift. The canyon seemed as silent as if a piece of furniture had shifted by half an inch. When he proposed that the family go to New Zealand for the sequel, Lisa was hesitant because she could already picture the uprooted garden, tutors, and time zone maths that would be involved. Yes, she said, we may go on a visit, but roots are also necessary. His strong arms squeezed hers, as if physical touch could supplant physical presence. They dozed off under their woven blankets that night, sharing hushed dreams. At first light, Jason and the kids would go surfing in the Tasman Sea. The idea of a wellness commune for LA single moms was floated by Lisa. Less than an inch separated the visions. Quietness descended, not aggressive, but oppressive. As he drifted off to sleep, she observed moonlight applying his tattoos and pondered the endurance of love in the face of two divergent paths. Tragically, the unstated fact was that love alone cannot turn back the hands of time. Microcracks, barely perceptible until the walls groaned, were branded into their foundation with each departure ticket. Photographers demanded the ideal family portrait at the premiere in Los Angeles, weeks later. Lisa grinned, but she couldn't help but stare at the kids playing under the strobe lights. They were already poised like little experts. She felt a subtle dread at the sight. On that fateful night, she penned the words, "What memories will they own if childhood turns into a red carpet rehearsal?" A subtle doubt crept into the space between each kiss and farewell. Gaps in the fortifications. While Lisa cared for their canyon retreat, Jason was filming in the Australian outback by early 2020. Global coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic was minimal, making no further progress. One of the final commercial flights before lockdown allowed Jason to return home. After a long separation, everyone in the family was back together for every meal, every sunrise, and every worrying news story. Fear enveloped what seemed like a gift at first. Gardens grew. The home was filled with warm yeast from sourdough experiments, and the night sky was packed with satellites. Yet being confined also eliminated diversions. Once delayed due to physical distance, arguments are now taking place in real time. The dynamic energy of sets eludes Jason Paste. The continual activity was too much for Lisa. The incident began with a broken dishwasher on a wet afternoon. Emotions ran high, grudges were rekindled. In times of emotional turmoil, he said she retreated into her books. His need for excitement had become his crutch for avoiding boredom, she said. The voices grew louder before fading into a low, weary murmur. From the corridor, the children listened, their hearts racing. They attempted video chat couples therapy during a rare period of serenity. The therapist then had them each paint a picture of their ideal day. Jason imagined a beachside routine that began with a sunrise surf, continued with family dinner and rehearsals. Until noon, Lisa planned to write, do yoga quietly, and then prepare veggies that she had grown herself. Their dreams were on separate timelines, the counselor softly noted. Despite their acknowledgement, the revelation hung in the air. Studios rushed to resume production as soon as regulations were relaxed. With an even lengthier time frame, Aquaman 2 was greenlit in Malta and the UK. The part was career-defining, but Jason was hesitant since it brought up memories of treatment. Lisa begged him to stop. Her smile faded, but her belief in his abilities remained unshaken. Shorter stretches, more flights home, and stronger boundaries were his promises as he packed his duffel. They wished they could trust him. Once again, the Odomir separated them into their own routines. Jason put in 6 hours of training every day to bulk up for underwater fight scenes. In addition to planting therapeutic herbs and giving away closets full of red carpet gowns, Lisa gave a thorough cleaning of the house. Lisa and her pal Marissa Tomei chatted for a magazine interview in January of 2021, embracing the universe's invitation into uncertainty and being one's true self were themes she touched on. In the time between takes, while the Atlantic wind whipped his hair, Jason read from the transcript. The day she spoke to him from 8,000 miles away, he felt like he was staring at a wall of text about removing unnecessary noise. New COVID surges arrived in the spring, which grounded flights once again. At this point, the distance felt final. Short, logistical updates were delivered through video chats. It was a dreadful truth that loomed. Although it may feel like a betrayal to admit it, love is at its greatest when it lets go. For fear of giving life to the idea, they kept quiet about it. The startling news. Jason uploaded a statement to Instagram on January 12, 2022, with a sepia tint. Seismic shifts were hinted at, as was the idea of releasing each other to fully embody their emerging selves. Within minutes, the term divorce became a global trend as fans gasped and news sites crashed. She refused to rush and spoke in a soothing voice, which helped her patients. She taught teens how to read food labels, made salves and nettle infusions. Even though the pay was low, having a purpose fulfilled me in ways that money could never buy. She didn't participate in any social media. At the farmer's market, paparazzi would sometimes take pictures of her with silver streaks in her hair. Radiant complexion,